because we're going to talk about production workflow, essentially, practically, how to make music fast. Conceptually, how to get into the flow, okay? And in order to do that, we have to think in the speed of sound. Not really the wavelength of sound, but just the thought of sound. If I now go to a piano or a guitar and start playing, everything is immediate. It's kind of like flowing from me. When we choose the computer as our musical instrument, we have to get ourselves to a point where we're as fast as we can be, and that's why today we're going to talk a lot about keyboard shortcuts, and we're going to have a challenge. I hope everyone have their laptops, just 10 minutes, how you can create the fastest. We're going to do a trap beat together. Everyone's going to do their own. We're going to talk about keyboard shortcuts before, and the challenge is going to be, and your brain is going to force you to go and touch the mouse. No one touch the mouse as soon as I say, okay? And we're only going to do keyboard shortcuts. I do have for you also this graphic for the essential keyboard shortcuts for drum programming and some other editing and some racks. So I'll try to share it with AirDrop, and whoever doesn't have AirDrop, maybe we can have a drive. Sweet. Before we get into that, let's just do, first of all, the dynamic EQ. Yes. You can load the EQ8. Okay. Now I'm going to put it, let's say this is my music track, and this is my vocal track. Okay? Nice. And I want the music track, like guitars and pads and all of that, to duck a tiny bit wherever the main frequency of my vocals is, let's say here, okay? Now, in Ableton 12.1, we now have an updated envelope follower. So if I go under modulators, you're going to find the envelope follower. Now, we have a built-in sidechain, so we don't have to put it on the vocal track or the kick track or whatever. I can put it directly on the track that I want to dynamic EQ. So I'm going to open up the sidechain, turn on the sidechain, and tell it to listen to the vocal track, or wherever you want the sidechain trigger to be. Right now, my situation is, I have all my music, guitars, pads, chords, all of that, and I want every time the vocal sing to tiny bit duck this every time the vocal is singing, okay? So I'm telling it to listen to the vocal. I don't know why the mix is 0 by default. That's a stupid default. Hopefully they'll fix it. It should be 100%. It's just an extra step you gotta remember, okay? Nice. Now I'm going to map this envelope follower to the gain of this filter point, okay? I'm going to turn it into to remote so we can actually see what it's doing. And let me put something. I don't have my hard drive, so I'm just going to load some loops here. Let's go samples, loop. Doesn't matter. What is that? Let's turn this off. Okay, nice. So now we can see that. Let me turn this down, because we're going to just talk conceptually right now. That it's listening to the vocal track. Right now it's drums, and it's moving the EQ, but it's not moving it correctly, because we just got to adjust the minimum and maximum values right here. I got to put the minimum at the middle of the EQ, which is going to be 50, and maximum anywhere below 50. Let's do 25. And now, according to the drums or the vocals or whatever your sidechain trigger is, it's going to duck the EQ. See that? And we essentially created a dynamic EQ. And by the way, I just want to point out, since 12.1, it eliminated so many plugins for me. From the auto shifter, you don't need auto-tune. For me, I don't need auto-tune. I used to use Manipulator, Little Alter Boy for harmonies. You don't need any of that. And as well as this dynamic EQ, which works really great. If I want to continue that, I'm going to create another filter point, open up this multi-map, map this, again, adjust the minimum maximum. Maybe this I want to go less, let's say 35. And I'm going to go here and I can adjust the width, okay, or the amount. Okay, I can load another envelope follower if I want to adjust the gain of the sidechain trigger, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a bit of a setup. You can then take both of them with Shift, Command, or Control G to group them into an audio effect rack and just save it as your dynamic EQ preset. Okay, and then you just have to tell it what's the trigger, what's the sidechain. So dynamic EQ with envelope follower. Sweet. At any point, let me know if there's any questions. Yes. Yes. Well, you would have to adjust it and maybe do this will have to go on a separate track, which will listen to the vocal. Okay. And you would have to, and you know what? This one, I won't do sidechain. I would route the audio from the vocals here. This is just me thinking on the spot, okay, for a solution. But I'll route the audio here. Let's put input. Okay, so now it's coming. I'm going to mute the track. So I'm only using this track to create an envelope follower. I would then put an EQ before the envelope follower, and I would limit whatever range of frequencies I want to listen to. Okay, so now we're essentially frequency dependent, creating an envelope, and then it's still mapped to that EQ. We can't see it, I have to go here, but it's still mapped. So now just that frequency range from that vocal is creating the envelope. Okay? Okay. I also included in this pack of racks that I gave you, I think, did I? No, but I didn't give you the Ableton Live 8 compressor. So let me just add it to the pack here. This is what Dan was mentioning. It's the clean sidechain from the old compressor. When you get it, just save it right here. Call it whatever you want. Just when you load it, don't hit upgrade, because then it's going to change it to the new compressor. So let me just add it to here. I'm just going to send it actually to someone. Sweet. Before we get into the racks, let's work on the keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to create a new MIDI track, and everyone should have this new drum racks. I would recommend maybe all of us will use the same drum rack. There's new racks from Decap, which are great, because we're going to make a simple trap beat right now, just to work and practice the keyboard shortcuts. And again, the main goal here is to become fastest as possible from here to here, treat the computer as an instrument, the same as we have with piano, guitar, and all those other instruments. We want to achieve as much immediacy as we can with this not so immediate expression tool, which is the computer, okay? So let's say load number one. Now, we're only going to work on the hi-hat. So what we're going to do is, after you load this Decap first kit, right here in the session view, you can open up the list of all the different chains, all the different samples in the drum rack. It's a nested drum rack, so you have to open the nested one, and then you'll see all of them. We're going to find the hat. Where's the hat? Hi-hat. Here we go. I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to extract chains. This is going to separate just the hi-hat to its own track, okay? I'll show you why we do this, but extract chains, it's going to put it on its own separate track, and now I'm also going to right-click on the title of the drum rack and ungroup, okay? So we only left with, in this case, a drum sampler. Doesn't matter, a simpler sampler, doesn't matter on its own track. So once again, let me do it again. I'm going to load, I'm just going to go under packs, I'm going to search, everyone have this is under the core library, so everyone should have it if you have the 12.1. This I think was developed for the Move, but now they reflect in everything in Ableton. I'm going to load the first kit, everyone load the same kit, okay? Load the first kit. Sweet. Right here, I'm going to open up the drum rack. It's nested, so I'm going to open up the second one. I'm going to find the chain of the hi-hat closed, right-click on the title, choose extract chains, and last step is to right-click on this new drum rack that we just got on this new track and ungroup it, okay? Just so we can have our own MIDI clip just for hi-hats, so we can also do some pitch stuff, okay? Not only rhythm. Sweet. I'm going to go back here. Well, it doesn't matter if you're in the session, arrangement, whatever. Let's create a clip here. I would recommend, let's do 2 bars. 2-bar clip just for the kick and snare right now. We're going to talk about the basic keyboard shortcuts, and then we're going to go to the hats. So just kick and snare, the main rack, create a clip, 2 bars, BPM, 160. Okay, get to this point, and then we'll start. Essentially, you should have 2 tracks. One is the main rack, which we're going to do just the kick and snare, maybe some percussion, and 1 track, which is just with the hi-hat, and it should have its own sampler, drum sampler, sampler, whatever it is. And let's go here. Who here is not on 12.1, just to know? Okay. Which version are you on? 11?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it's just like 1 difference, or 2 or 3 differences, that's it. The rest is exactly the same. Okay, while you set it up, I just want to mention very important keyboard shortcuts. For me, it's the most important keyboard shortcut in Ableton. In 11 and prior, it used to be Shift-Tab, and that's to switch between the clip view, which we see right now, where we added the MIDI, and the device view, which essentially our channel strip of the track, where we put all of the instruments and effects, okay? Now in Ableton Live 12, we have, because we are now able to see both the clip view and the device view at the same time, now we have new keyboard shortcuts, which is Command, and when I say Command, it's Control, and Option is Alt. Command on the PC. Command Option 3 to bring up the clip view, and Command Option 4 to bring up the device view, okay? These are essential in my opinion. Now, there's another one that is not in the graphic that I'm going to give you, but that's also Command Option E to expand the clip view, okay? Command Option E. But Command Option 3 and 4, that's all you need. If you've seen only one of them, you can still use Shift-Tab, including in 11. Shift-Tab, the most useful keyboard shortcut in Ableton, okay? Maybe besides Command Z, but Shift-Tab. Sweet. Yes?
I'm not seeing the ungroup command. I missed a step.
So first of all, you need to make sure that it's, let me group it to a drum rack. You need to make sure that you extracted the chain. It's the only pad that is populated in the drum rack. And then I'm going to right click on the drum rack title and ungroup. See if you can see that. Okay, perfect. Sweet. Nice. A couple of just a new keyboard shortcut. Does anyone know how to turn on the metronome? Oh, exactly. Oh, yes. Which is very useful. Right now, we don't really need it. We're just going to do with our mouse. So this is going to be a challenge for your brain, because your brain is going to want to go to the mouse. Take it slow. Remind yourself, I cannot touch the mouse. You can only touch the mouse when you create the first note. Okay, so everyone put a kick. And before we do that, if you want to hear every time you place a sample, you also want to turn on this MIDI preview. It's up to you. You don't have to. It's sometimes nice to, once you get used to everything, to not listen to it. Just do the beat and then play it. Okay? But let's turn on the MIDI preview. I'm going to create 1 kick in the beginning, the first 16th note. And that's it. No one touches the mouse. Okay? Keyboard shortcuts. Everyone's here. Let me wait a second. Yeah? Okay, let's tap the tempo with the alarm. No, I'm kidding. Let's create a kick, and now keyboard shortcuts, okay? First keyboard shortcut, you already know, essential, Command D to duplicate the note. Now I can start moving the arrow keys to start moving it, and I can also use up and down to start selecting different samples, maybe the snare here, okay? Command D. Maybe sound like this. Let me zoom out. Okay, Command D and arrow keys. That's the only thing I'm doing right now. Sweet. If you created a note before that you don't want, or you want to move it somewhere else, you can also move between the selection of the notes with holding Option and arrow keys. Okay, so I can maybe select this kick. I don't want it here, or I want it to be maybe this percussion. I'm going to duplicate it here. Okay, so Option or Alt. I think it's Alt. Correct me if I'm wrong. On a PC, it might be Control, but holding Option and using the arrow keys, it's Control. Thank you. To change the selection of the currently focused note. Okay? Sweet. Something simple, because we're going to go to the hats. Simple. Nice. So I don't like those hats. This is going overboard. In this case, I would use my mouse. But if you want, I can go here with my arrow keys. Now I'm not selecting any note. You see my playhead is moving. I can use Shift to select these, hit Enter, and I'm going into the selection of the notes. This is, again, you don't need that. And then maybe we'll move it here. No, actually, I want this here and this here. Okay? Simple. Sweet. Let me know when you're ready. We're going to go to the hats. Okay, I'm going to create a clip for the hats. Let's also make it 2 bars. Okay, and now let's launch it. And let's create our first note. That's it. That's the only thing we can touch the mouse. Okay, first note, launch the clip. That's it. Yeah? Okay. We said Command D. Move the arrow keys. Now we can also change the length of the note with Shift and left and right arrow keys. Okay? But right now it only changes the length of the note according to the grid size. And the grid size right now, it says right here, it's 16th note. So these keyboard shortcuts are essential, what I'm about to tell you, not only for MIDI editing, but also when you're in the arrangement view or anywhere you have a grid in Ableton, we'll have this grid shortcut. So very important for this type of things. So to change the grid, we have Command 1 to make it smaller. Okay. Command 2 to make it bigger. Command 3 to turn on and off the triplet grid. You'll see here there's a small T next to it when you hit Command 3 for triplets. And Command 4 to turn off the grid if you want to just nudge it off the grid, okay, with your arrow keys. So Command 1, 2, 3, 4, essential. Okay? Now, just with these keyboard shortcuts, Command D, moving it around with the arrow keys, Alt, arrow keys to change selections, and Shift, left and right arrow keys to change the length, and then Command 1, 2, 3, and 4 to change the grid size, I can now create very easily, just with my keyboard, this pattern of hats. In this case, it's trap hats, but we can also translate it to melodies, chords, whatever it is, maybe with some additions of shift up and down and for octaves. We'll do also that for pitch. Okay? So if I put a hat here, and right now I'll just duplicate it, I can go like this. Right? Maybe I'll change my selection here. Let's go here. I'm going to go Command 1, maybe twice. Maybe I'll put it triplets. Shift, left arrow key, and then Command D. And then maybe I'll go here. I'll extend it. We can also go up, because now we have our own clip for just the hats. Maybe we'll do fast, kind of going down here. And I'll have to zoom all the way. So, whoops, zoom out all the way, X. You can also use X. And yeah, maybe we'll do something like this, like that. Maybe we'll do some space here. I don't want this one. Okay, now we created our, and maybe I'll take everything down with Command A and just, no. And maybe we'll do some triplets here. Command 3, Command 2. Oh, white selected all of them. Let's go out of selection with Enter. Highlight this, Enter, duplicate that. Okay, nice. Now, I'm not saying do this when you produce. What I'm saying is, whenever you find out a new keyboard shortcut, you might have to force yourself to use it, because the easiest way for our brain is to go to the mouse. And you will get so much more in the flow, so much faster, when you're able to create with keyboard shortcuts. It's 10 times faster. It's not even twice as fast with the mouse. Okay, and maybe we'll do some with audio editing. Okay, nice. I'll give you a second. We'll talk about some other things. No, but if you, on a note, you can just write a number. So if I'm focused on this note right now, on the first one, and I can just write 50, and it's dropping and then I can go here. I want this 40.
Yeah, command up and down while you're holding
Oh, with the mouse. You talking about with the mouse? Oh, okay, by increments of 1. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, if it needs to be open. But it's by increments of 1.
Yeah, so you're just holding it down.
Yeah. So that's maybe go against what we want. But by the way, guys, going back to the mouse, we do have now this ramp that we can very easily do this velocity ramp. If you're on 11, you can still do it by turning on the mouse with B, holding Option, and drawing a line, okay, for 11. I don't think he hears me. But you can still do that in 11. Sweet. Nice. Another essential keyboard shortcut that I use all the time when I'm focused on a MIDI track is S, just to solo the track if I want to hear just the hats now. Okay, so I just hit S. Let's see it on the mixer, but S, solo the selected track. Okay, and C also arms it if you want to see. Sweet. Any questions? Okay. Let's say.
Sorry, what was it again to dial the number of the velocity?
Oh, so you just highlight a note, and you just write the number. Let's say I want 10. See that 10 or 100? I'll go 100, 50. And they mention also command up and down. That's increments of 1. I think that goes a bit against what we want. You can hit enter, and then it goes to the selection of the playback, the playhead. You see I'm moving the playhead. So I can hold shift, highlight 1 or 2 notes, or as many as I want, hit enter, then I go to a selection of the notes between the playback and the selection. In this is overkill. In this case, I would use the mouse, okay? Yeah, absolutely, but that's not for me. Guys, same thing with, here, let's do some chords, for example. We're gonna load a preset here, whatever. Here we go, create a clip. Let's make it 4 bars. And even here, I would highly recommend using this keyboard shortcut we just talked about. It's just gonna make things so much faster. So first of all, Command 2 to create a bigger grid so my initial note can be a bit longer, maybe something like this. Okay, and then maybe use the octave. So shift left and right, changing the note length. Shift up and down, as you might know, changing the octaves. So now I can hit, let's do a longer note, Command D, Command D, Command D. Although I do want to also mention that you can also play the chord. I can use the MIDI keyboard. I'm going to hit M to turn on the MIDI keyboard. You can hold a chord and then use the arrow keys. That also works, okay? And if you have a keyboard, it also takes the velocity. But considering we're talking about keyboard shortcuts to only use the laptop or the computer, we're gonna imagine we don't have a MIDI controller. So create a note, Command D. Right, and then let's go and create another chord here. Maybe I'll do it here. So this chord, I want to be a bit shorter. And then we're gonna go to this note. We'll start it here. Maybe something like this. Yeah, and we'll have to launch it. Let's continue. This again, I'm highlighting enter because I want to make it longer. Oh, what happened to our top note there? Longer. And then maybe another chord here. Guys, and I know, don't touch the mouse. I know it's itching. Don't touch the mouse. But that's the point, like force yourself, and whenever you find a new keyboard shortcut, that day you'll have to kind of think about it forcefully and use it, okay? And then it's just gonna be there for you to use. Maybe something like this, yeah? Maybe. And then, oh, I know. You should see. I did what you call it? workshop at the Ableton Loop, the conference. So the comment said Ableton should implement a speed limitation because I went too fast there. But just to prove my point, it's okay. Guys, I'm using it many years, and I'm also a gamer. So it's basically combos. If you ever played fighting games, but the idea, the concept here, is to take this and to turn it a bit more into a mechanical instrument like a guitar, piano, bass, and all of that. And that is with keyboard shortcuts. I'm not saying don't use the mouse. I'm saying learn more keyboard shortcuts. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, sweet. So keyboard shortcuts, I will give you that graphic that I made that hopefully you can just print it, open it up, just have it, and every day just get used to a new keyboard shortcut. Okay? Sweet. Questions? Okay. Next topic is racks. I cannot emphasize how important that is. And maybe before I say racks, I will say presets. Okay? Presets. If you now go into a studio that have a $5,000 synthesizer, you're going to touch that synthesizer, most of the sound's going to sound amazing. You pay for good sounds, okay? And that also goes to a super expensive microphone with a crazy rack. It just sounds good out of the box. We will have to take extra steps in order to prepare ourselves for success. I don't want to sit here and start with shitty sounds, okay? There's no point. Before I produce, I need to prepare for production. Before I produce, I need to find the best sounds. That's why I don't use it anymore, but one of my favorite plugins back in the day used to be Omnisphere, if anyone using Omnisphere. Because Omnisphere has like 10,000 sounds. They're categorized, they all sound really great. It even have sound match that now we have in Ableton that sound similar sounds. And something you don't see in a lot of plugins, you can also MIDI map the up and down preset, like an analog synth. You can just go, okay, next preset, play, next preset, play. So again, I just want to equate this to racks that just prepare yourself for success. So that might mean that you're going to sit and you're going to create some instruments for yourself, and it might be from plugins, might be from built-in stuff, samples, doesn't matter, but you want stuff to already sound nice and unique. You can, of course, use services like Output Arcade. If anyone knows, it's like a subscription service, and that's essentially what they do. They have musicians sit in the studio all day making interesting sounds for you to use, okay? I can tell you, I went to teach the Push 2 to Timbaland. Ableton sent me to teach to Timbaland. He has a guy who's his Sound Oracle. Back in I don't know if he's still doing it, but Sound Oracle now have new packs for Ableton. He used to sit and just prepare drum kits and drum racks and sounds and everything so Timbaland can come, sit, and just produce. And by the way, when I brought the Push and then they loaded the sound, immediately he made some crazy bangers. And Justin Timberlake was there. They were recording his album in Conway Studios in Hollywood. But we don't have the luxury of having someone preparing the sound for us. We have to do it ourselves, okay? But I can emphasize how important it is and how it will get you more in the flow of just creating. If everything already sounds good, you just gotta be creative with the sounds. So that means that we might do something like this. I'm gonna go take this sound. I'm gonna group it with Command G into an instrument rack. I'm gonna open up the chain list, and I'm gonna start layering more instruments here. And layering is a sure way of making unique sounds. Okay, so maybe for example, I'd load, here's a cool preset that everyone should have. This is from the Mood Reel. If you have Ableton Suite, you can download the Mood Reel. It's a really nice piano. Let's load that. If you want to use plugins, absolutely. Maybe I'll use like a guitar plugin. I'll layer that as well. Let me load that plugin a second. Oh, I don't have my external hard drive. Never mind. If you want to use like a synth or whatever, let's use Omnisphere. Let's layer it with Omnisphere. Let's load like a ethnic world something. I'm not gonna even, whatever. Yeah, excellent. That's kind of a guitar. Did we load it though? I think, yeah. it's loaded. So you can then adjust the volume, the panning of each instrument. I won't end here, by the way. I would probably add, let's add also brass. And just a philosophical point, every time in history that we saw progression in music, it was when people took the technology at the time and misused it. Okay? So it's up to us with our modern tools to misuse it. So when I say I'm not going to stop here, I'm encouraging you to load 100 layers until Ableton crashes. Okay? And then see what happens. Misuse the technology. That's my encouragement. So now we have a much more interesting instrument. Of course, the power of the racks allows us to also add whatever effects we want on each layer. Where MIDI effects, I can have, let's say, this Omnisphere. I can have just that. I can load the arpeggiator just on the Omnisphere layer. So it, let's do like 16 octave. And let's take everything octave lower, maybe with the pitch MIDI effect. I'm going to take and turn it down so it's in the background. Okay, but just the sound now is much more compelling because it's so much more complex, but still, again, playing the same thing that we played before. So make yourself these racks, just save it. So you have those sounds, okay? And that those sounds will become your signature as an artist, as you use them. If you just load a piano, yes, maybe to come up with ideas and stuff, but you know, the piano would sound so much more nicer if you record your grandma's piano, right? Because it's unique. It's not just another plugin. But if it is a plugin, you can still make it unique, but you'll have to take those extra steps. I would not recommend doing it when you produce. Like tell yourself, okay, I need to prepare some sounds right now. I'm going to take 2 hours and I'm just going to make sounds. I'm going to then choose my cool bass or 808s. When you, and this is of course where we all start, but when you do this, and of course every project will have this situation. Okay? Avoid that by preparing your instruments. Okay? Excellent. Now, that doesn't end only with instruments. It's also with effects. So I already gave you a bunch of here, so let me go over them so we can see what they're doing. I have a lot more on my website. I'll mention at the end some stuff, some self-plug. But for example, this I created for the push. When I make music on the push, I have this rack. Everyone have, Dan will share with everyone. But I have this rack. I load it on the track. I load it on the track. Come on. What happened to my click here? Here we go. And this is a rack that already have all the essentials that I need to mix the track. Okay, so inside I have all this stuff. Some of these are quite complex, but it doesn't matter because that's the idea that at the end I only see this. Yes?
Yeah, you know how like if you're...
I also want to mention, some people asked, because sometimes it's not only for the racks, it's sometimes for drum racks, you get like a loop.
Yeah.
So you can't access it, okay? It's just like a demonstration of the sound of the drum rack. But unfortunately, we can't make a preview sound unless you work with Ableton officially to design sounds. But an example of a rack, this is more for the push for me, but you can use it, just put it on every track, turn a few knobs, everything is so much easier to mix, okay? Here's another break bus driver. This is I put on my drums. Let's say I'm going to put a break here. I just released today. If anyone have the Ableton Move, although you don't need it for the Move, where is it? Where did I put it? It's pads and breaks for the Move. I don't know where it is, but let's just, hopefully we have some breaks here. We have some breaks here. So let's say I load a break. I'm not going to edit it right now, but let's say I load a break. And let's slow it down. Or maybe let's just put it in re-pitch mode. And then I'm going to put my break bus driver. Again, just a collection of effects that I set down. I set it up for me so I don't have to do it again. And I just have this rack that, by the way, this rack is in my collections. Okay, so it's always here. I have my compressor, this, all the other stuff that I use a lot. Without. I don't want to spend every time loading these EQs, and if you enjoy it, please. Because again, there's people who are mixing engineers, and that's its own art. I'm a beat maker. I just make beats. I don't want to spend all this time on this stuff, so I prepare already these things. Again, it's just drum bass, parallel compression, more glue compression, saturation, some reverb in parallel chain and delay, and some roar, okay? And of course macros, so I can go as crazy as I want, okay? Also depends on the loop. So this is my go-to on my drums. Like every drum track that I do, I just load it up and I'm good to go. And I can tell you, for example, and I'm not trying to sound pretentious, or Ableton just sends me to artists, okay? So for example, I sat with Ludacris, and he wanted to make beats like Diplo, okay? So he has one of his friends just set him up with all these racks, although they're using Waves plugins, same thing. Waves plugin is just loaded like a lot of NLS in a row, so he doesn't have to worry about that part of the music making. And I feel like a lot of us, if we could, it would be awesome if we can walk into a studio, everything is already set up, everything we do sounds amazing, we just can focus on the creation instead of this stupid mixing. I'm sorry, I just don't like mixing, okay? So make yourself life easier, mix beforehand, prepare yourself for success, make your racks, and it doesn't mean it has to be Ableton stuff, it might mean you find the best presets in your favorite plugins, okay? Excellent. Let me another couple of other things. Here's another really great thing. I don't have vocals to demonstrate. I just highly recommend you guys check it on your own. But this, I don't have my projects, but if I'm a bad singer. If I put this on my vocals, it sounds amazing. People really think I'm a good singer, okay? Because of all of this. Again, I took my time designing all of this. It did use auto-tune. Now we have auto shift. I did use Little Alter Boy for some harmonies. Now we have auto shift. Four-man shifter. Now we have auto shift. So I used to use all these plugins. Now it's all built in. And I mean, I can even take it to, now it's 50 milliseconds. If you see on the bottom, it says the latency. When I record, I can put it in live mode, so there's no latency, or I can turn off delay compensation just for the recording. So whenever I listen in my headphones, it happens immediately. But when I feel inspired to use the microphone, I load it up, and that's it. I'm good to go. I'm already feeling inspired from the sound in the headphones, okay? You can test it out on your own vocals. On your own vocals, you might have to turn down some stuff because they might be too intense. That's kind of what I like. But again, just a chain of effects. Some of them are more proprietary, but they work great. You can, of course, change them with your own. You can change with plugins. You can just use plugins, but have this stuff ready. I cannot emphasize how much more fun you'll have with music by just focusing on the music, okay? Excellent. I can equate it, for example, in a live performance. I used to perform a lot, and the audience doesn't need to see stuff that doesn't relate to music. So for example, if I'm in a live performance and I play some instruments, I play like video game controllers on stage. So if I play my video game controllers and I'm ready to go to the next beat, I don't need to press a button to go to the next beat. I can program it in Ableton. The audience, they don't care, they don't know, they just want to see the reaction of me, finger drum, and what's happening, okay? So same thing goes with music creation. Whatever you can automate, I would highly recommend, and that is with presets or with racks, okay? Sweet. Couple of extra stuff. Synth effects kit, if I start designing sound from scratch, this is more for sound design sessions. Ableton synths are amazing, but they don't come with a lot of built-in effects or any. So for example, Meld only have some distortion, saturation stuff. So I have this whole synth effects kit that now you have that I emulated Serum's effects section, okay? Because most plugins, they come with amazing effects built in, and we should treat it as part of the sound design. It's a huge part of it. A sound can sound drastically different if you add some distortion to it. So having this, and doesn't have to be this, again, just a set of effects so you can add, doesn't have to be also for synths, you can have one dedicated for vocals, and so on and so forth. Here's another example. Referencer is a lot of times when I use reference tracks on my master, I have this rack that just switch between different frequency bands, so I can listen to just the lows, the low mids, the high mids, and compare that and find where exactly I have issues in my mix compared to the reference, okay? And once you reference and target the reference, it's quite easy to tell, okay, what I'm missing, what I have too much, and then make the adjustments, okay? So now you have that as well with the rack. I also have some more, this is, by the way, I'll plug it in a second. This is just a small fraction of what you can find on my website for free. A lot of stuff are free, but here's another example. This is called Magic Glitch, and it's with a not so used device, which is the Pitch Loop 89. Everyone have it, you just have to download it under packs. It's absolutely amazing. It's from one of the founders of Ableton, Robert Henke. It's a kind of a delay, but it's a buffer delay, so you can freeze the buffer and then move. It's kind of like a granular delay, which can create some awesome stuff. So this is for me more when I do some more ambient stuff and I just want to jam. Let me load, maybe I'll go here, and then we're going to send it to our return track with the Magic Glitch. And this is quite unexpected, so I don't know what it's going to create, but let's see if we can. Okay. Sometimes you have to pay a lot of money for guitar pedals to do this type of effects. But you can create all of this stuff. Ableton, honestly, since Ableton 12, and especially 12.1, I don't use any more plugins. And I am a plugin addict. No, you don't understand. I don't think you understand. I was the one who used to crack them back when I went to music school. The student, like my classmates used to call me to get the plugins, okay? I'm addicted to plugins, addicted. I don't use them anymore. I don't use plugins because Ableton just eliminated everything for me. Now, that being said, I use some plugins for instruments, even though now Meld is absolutely amazing, of course, sampling. So I do still use plugins for instruments, guitars, Contact, if I want real instruments, stuff like that. Depends on the project, what I need. But when it comes to effects, really, Ableton stepped up the game when it comes to mixing and sound design. Even the limiter, Dan mentioned the saturator. We now have a hard clipper. We didn't have that. We have a hard clipper now. So a hard clipper in combination with this limiter in mid-side mode, maximize, I don't need anything else, okay, for boosting, mastering, saturating, whatever it is. So I highly encourage, first of all, not to fall into the pit of plugins, because you'll see every artist use a different plugin. Everyone, and you'll think, oh, I need to get that. You don't, okay? It's super fun. It definitely looks a lot better than the Ableton interface, and it's fun to use, but don't feel like that's stopping you from making amazing music. You already have, especially today. Back in the day, I would say, yeah, maybe. Today, Ableton 12.1 is so powerful, you don't need anything, nothing. Maybe good samples, maybe some good presets, but the tools are already there, okay? Sweet. Let's see if anything else here. Other stuff, live effects. This one is super fun. I have a video about this for live harmonizing, because now the auto shift in Ableton also allows you to sing and send MIDI to it and then play the harmony in real time, which is eliminating another plugin for me called Manipulator from Polyverse. I don't need it anymore because of this live harmony. Okay, let me plug myself a second, okay? Every Sunday, we have an online class. David and James are there as well. From 11 to 1, every Sunday. If you want to join, here's the link. This is the link to the newsletter, okay? Every week, we cover a different topic, usually a different style of music. Tomorrow, because you guys are here, it's a free class. It's usually not free, but tomorrow it's a free class. I would also maybe send you guys the link. You guys, if you go to my Instagram, you can find the link. But if you RSVP, you're gonna get the recording, okay? Because you guys are gonna be here. But if you want, Aaron, I saw you RSVP, you're gonna get the recording. Tomorrow we're gonna go deep dive into the new MIDI tools in Ableton, which are absolutely insane. And I do foresee them even creating new styles of music like the FL Studio MIDI editor did back when it was released. So if you wanna join sidebrain.net, that's my website. You can find a lot of free Ableton stuff there. /join-the-group, okay? You can also check on our website all the past sessions that we did because they're recorded and it's just different styles of music. You can check it on the website, but Piano House, Breakcore, Jersey Club, Future Garage, like Kate Renada, Melodic Techno, everything, okay? That's since a young age, I'm a fanatic of listening to different styles and understanding why and how. I just love the eclectic nature of music and all the different styles you can make. So if you want to join the group every Sunday, just join in the newsletter. You don't have to join the classes. Whenever you see something that you like, you can join. My Instagram, also TikTok, I post a lot of short tips. I think some of you already watched it. So if you want, you can follow there. And here you can also find all the links to tomorrow, RSVP before tonight, okay? Because I'm going to close the registration. There's a lot of people for tomorrow's class. But it's going to be recorded. You're going to get it on Monday, okay? So that's that. And also on YouTube, I'm lucky and fortunate that Ableton also sponsored a lot of my YouTube. So tomorrow there's a new Move video coming out. Mostly me just making music with the Move, showing some production techniques. And there's a new, I don't know why I couldn't find it, but on my website, if you go Ableton stuff, freebies, I just released today, and you don't need the Move for that, but pads and breaks for the Ableton Move. All of these are free, so you can check them out. Okay? And YouTube, Sidebrain, everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Questions?
Can I chime in with something? Earlier
Yeah.
the using the new sidechain in the envelope follower for dynamic EQ and how you set up the separate track. Something I've been doing is grouping that envelope follower within the same rack, creating two chains and leaving the first one, so I can have that whole thing exist next to the EQ.
Oh, with the frequency dependent?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Yes. Other questions? Yes.
I have a very specific operator question.
Okay.
Is there a way to make one of the oscillators bypass the filter?
Yes, if you go to under the filter, oh no, where was it? That's the LFO. No, you can't. You'll have to maybe group it, layer it with another operator, and then have that to bypass the filter, one of the oscillators. Okay. Operator is a super old school synth. I think more than 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. And they just, no, 20 years actually. They just celebrated 20 because they released, where was it? There's if you go search operator 20 years, operator, they have a whole, here, 20 years of operator, 100 free presets from Robert Henke and Kristen Klein, who's one of the main designers in Ableton, Max for Cats, if anyone knows. He designed Meld, one of the designers of Meld, and some many other Ableton stuff. So they have 100 free presets, if anyone interested. It is crazy, yeah. It's an old school synth, super powerful still. I would highly recommend if anyone didn't research or explore yet Meld. Meld, in my opinion, is best sounding synth of Ableton to date. Okay, highly inspired by the modular world, with all this modular stuff that it has. It can be a bit daunting with this matrix that opens up, looks like a Google sheet, but still extremely powerful synth, okay? And quite overlooked. I have a preset pack released soon, but I don't see a lot of it. It's amazing. It sounds great. So recommend checking it out.
I have a question. So you showed us a lot of efficient shortcuts. Question for you is, what's the longest workflow thing you have that's worth it being that long? It's longer than all these shortcuts, but it's something where you're like, I'm going to take the 5 minutes to do this because of how worth it is.
sometimes in the flow, you just go crazy and you test stuff. It's hard to tell before if it's because sometimes, and Dan mentioned it, don't get sentimental about your projects, okay? If I work on 5 minutes, 5 minutes, it's a lot for me. If I work 5-10 minutes on something, I don't like it, delete it. Don't get attached. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. The only thing I spend a lot of time with is melodies and vocals, like melodies and lyrics. For production, I would say it's short, but then I come back, I add stuff. I come back, I add stuff. I come back. So accumulatively, it's a long time. But I wouldn't say that, I can't think of anything that maybe at the moment I'm like, okay, it's going to take me a long time. Let's do it. Because at that point, I'm already in it. I already lost time. You know, and that's what I want you guys to get to that state of, let me give you an example. Dan mentioned, I used to have a school. For 7 years, BeatLab Academy. I closed it during the pandemic. And also, I'm a single dad, I have to be home. So I moved everything online. But during that 7 years, I hosted a lot of artists who came to give workshops. And I can tell you that the best artists that are showcasing their projects have no idea how they did that. It's hard for them to explain what happened there. For example, Lido, if you know Lido, amazing artist. He came to the school, he gave a workshop, and he was trying to explain some stuff, but it's when you get into this mode, into this state, it's hard to go back to it and get to it. So if you can get to that point, things might take a lot longer, but you can't even comprehend that because you lost time, okay? And to get there, I would say, it's just to put yourself in a situation where things happen very quickly. And you'll hear a lot of artists say, Pharrell, how long you take it to, 20 minutes. Okay, because they were in that state. And then, of course, maybe completing the song took longer, but just the initial idea, make sure you can get there fast with some of the stuff we talked about today.
Dovetailing off of Chuck's question, what would you say is the longest you spent setting up a preset or rack?
No, presets, it's like, sometimes it's an hour it takes me to do one preset. The preparation is very long. That's a very good question. Thank you for pointing out. Don't see, I'm moving fast. Preparation is extremely long. Okay? I take my time, I do presets, I hate it, I delete it, I come back, I do it again, or I go over every presets in a plugin that I like and I mark them favorites, or I go and download sample packs or download preset packs. I go over the samples and I delete stuff that I don't like. Go over the presets, I delete stuff. That takes a long time. Just so when I sit down, I'm ready. I know where to go. I'm ready. Oh, I need a kick, I'm there. Oh, I need horns, I know where to go. Okay? And it will come naturally over time as you produce more and more. Because you're going to start noticing you're doing the things over and over again. Why do I load this EQ every time? And then you're going to maybe end up with I don't have a template because I teach a lot, but I have templates that are ready in case I want to create certain things, although all of these came about from classes. But templates are amazing, especially if you have a studio with hardware gear. If you have hardware like synthesizers, sequencers, studio effects, make sure you have a template. So meaning template, you just set everything up. You set your inputs and outputs. You set your effects, your instruments. Everything is grouped. Maybe you even have master effects. Okay, there's a lot of benefits to mix into a limiter, like hardware stuff. But create a template. You can save it as a default template or save just as a general template. You can always load from here. But yes, absolutely do it. The only reason you see me open a new project and I don't have a template is because my main profession is teaching. That's what I do. I teach. Music is a hobby for me. Okay? Yes?
How do you organize your collections?
Oh, okay. Collections for me. And by the way, today you can make your own custom folders if you search something, let's say kick, whatever, and then I can also filter it further. I can add it right here as a plus and create my own kind of extra collections, because collection we can only have up to 7. But collections are, for me, I use them all the time, especially those first two. So these are all my favorite plugins and instruments. Here's another example of just preparing myself. I love addictive drums. Addictive drums is just for like realistic drums. And I created a rack. You can download it for free on my web. Did I give it to you? Anyway, it's on my website or on my YouTube page. But this rack, it's kind of like a hack where I have this empty drum rack right here. Or let me show you what it is without it. I'm going to load just addictive drums. Any drum plugin that you load is going to be set up with usually general MIDI. General MIDI is just an agreement between all the manufacturers where to put the drum sounds. If you have those old Casio keyboards with 400 sounds, you go to the 400 sound, you have a shitty drum kit, the drums are laid out in general MIDI. If you go over a drum rack, it's actually have this general MIDI suggestion. Oh, here we go. Right here on the bottom, you see it tells me the GM suggestion where to put the drum sounds. So if I go to a drum plugin, like Addictive Drums, and I create a MIDI, it just gives me a MIDI clip with all the octaves. I need to know, which you should, where are the drum sounds. Like here's the kick. Okay? Here's the snare. Here's the hat. But you can kind of create a hack where you have this empty drum rack. There's nothing here. It's empty. I just renamed them, and I layered it with the drum, with the addictive drums. So when I create a clip, it actually shows me the drum samples. Again, this is just a hack. It took me like 10 minutes, but doesn't matter. It's the same point of preparing yourself, okay, for production, for battle, okay. Sweet. So so sound and tools. Just my favorite plugins, favorite presets, and plugins. Mixing and color, just my favorite plugins for mixing, although I don't use them anymore, and some of the racks that I talked about, okay? Vocal depth, by the way, is built in. It's part of the voice box, which is a pack everyone can have and download. It's awesome to add some depth and width to your vocals. Vocal depth, you have it, okay? Amazing preset. These are my plugins that I don't use anymore, and I only use this now. I just load that. I'm good to go. This may be on backing vocals. Modulation effects. This I do use some plugins sometimes if I need more kind of sequencer effects like Infiltrator or Looperator, which I love, more for arrangement stuff. Space echo and delay. Okay. Coloring, distortion, saturation. Here's another built-in from Drive and Glow, another built-in pack called Crisp Dreams. Great rack, a great preset. Everyone have this as well. And mastering, just my mastering plugins that I use. But once again, I have them already set up in a rack.
This is kind of hyper-specific.
So first of all, I would load the plugin and load the sound, and we'll try to replicate exactly the same thing. My initial approach, just from probably I'll take RAW, some EQ. Here in RAW, you can do multiband. Maybe I'll go here. I'll try to get the same sound, try different algorithms, try to match it with an EQ, group it. By the way, RAW, if you use RAW, I highly recommend when you make it dynamic. It just sounds so much more analog. If you open up the modulation section, go here to the matrix and bring up the envelope follower so it only reacts to louder sounds. Just make it so much more like a actual analog unit. But I would take the plugin and then A/B test, and it's going to take me a while. But I would do that if I want to eliminate. I have not, guys, I love plugins. Just 12.1 made me, and the reason I don't use plugins, to be honest, is because I teach and I hate using for the students things that cost money, you know? So a lot of times I try to do it with Ableton stuff, but if you have the plugins, use them, they're amazing. And some of them will even become your sound. Like a lot of people use, what is it called? Thermal? From Arcade. Absolutely, these things are absolutely amazing. No reason why not to use them to get sounds, and you'll see a lot of artists when they demonstrate their project have a lot of plugins. What I'm saying is don't think like you need them. You don't. I'm telling you, you don't need the plugins. Okay, if you have plugins, absolutely. If you have like see a sale next week, Black Friday, why not? Treat yourself. But you don't need it. Okay, that's the point. Yes? Yes, okay. So first of all, here, I highly recommend, this is on my external hard drive, so you'll see that grayed out, but I have my Ableton projects oh, we can still see them. I can't load them, but I have my Ableton project loaded up in my browser. This is super useful because now, first of all, I can load projects directly from here. But also, yesterday I made just a beat. I can take just that, open up, I can't do it right now, but open up just that project. If I open up the LS, you'll see the list of all your tracks in that project. I can't because I don't have it right now, but you know what? On the desktop I have a project. I open this up, I open this, you see? It shows me the tracks inside that project, so now I can merge. I can bring that to this current project. So having your Ableton projects folder in your browser is highly useful, highly recommended. Here I can also see the last date and all those things, so highly recommend. This is just my presets. This is mostly what I use these days. You can download them from my website if you want, wavetable, drift presets, stuff like that. I was just told my 808 for drift was used in a Papa John's commercial. Thank you. I didn't see any money from that, but it was cool. These are all my sample packs on my external hard drives. I don't have them right now, but also this, I took the time and I organized them into styles, okay? Or however you want to organize them, doesn't matter, but don't have a huge list. Everyone have this friend, dude, I have some samples, bring you like 500 terabytes of samples. Most of them you're never going to use or even hear. Go over the samples, delete what is just, doesn't sound good. Keep just the best things. You can make endless albums with 10 kicks, 10 snares, 10 hats. That's it. That's all you need. Okay? That's all you need. 10 percussion, 10 tambourines, 10, doesn't matter. You don't need 1,000. But go over them and delete them. Yes, every 6 months or so, I'm like, I need a new sample pack. I go and I found a new sample pack to inspire me. Absolutely. But go and organize them. Okay? So this is just my sample packs. Here I have my old hard drive sample packs. This is my old stuff. This is my own sample packs. This usually, it's not here. It's just I had a breakcore and we did some other jungle classes and stuff. So I have some breaks here. This wavetable is just to load into wavetable synthesizers. Impulse responses to load into hybrid reverb and stuff like that. Sometimes, this was for classes to do live visuals with Max for Live, so all the visual Max for Live stuff. Push, Max for the push. My downloads folder, sometimes you want to access your downloads folder quickly, so I added there. Desktop. Music, which is, I have acapellas or instrumentals, and for sampling, like soul samples and stuff like that. And that's it. This is my own Max for Live devices. Like, for example, if you guys, we released this 2 months ago. So this, like, I don't know why Ableton doesn't have it. It has it, but not like, you know, if I need to, if I'm teaching music theory, you know, the Ableton doesn't have this type of keyboard that I can play, and also have a chord detector here, you see. So when I teach music theory, it's just something that I built with my chord developer in Portugal. And a bunch of other, if you want to play with video game controllers. That's just my Max for Live devices. You can check them on the website. Now, this is a hack. If you want these separators, you're going to go and you're going to create a folder. I would recommend something somewhere. You can also delete them, but somewhere you don't even, it's somewhere in my documents. You're going to create a folder. You're going to call it a bunch of dashes. Okay, and then you're going to add it to the, come on. You're going to add it to the Ableton browser, and now you have a separator. Okay, it's just a hack, but it's a cool hack. And I think you can also delete the folder later, because it's just going to gray out, but it's still there. But I'm going to remove it. So if you want those separators, just create those folders. Okay, questions? Yes?
You mentioned in one of your videos about MLR, the whole mod.
Damn. Guys, listen. If anyone's on Discord, Ableton have an official Discord. The Move, let me just talk about MLR for a second. The Move has a feature request list. I requested the MLR on the Move. It's a huge miss, in my opinion, that they didn't implement something like that. It barely have any votes. If it has enough votes, they will do it. So please go search MLR on the Ableton Move feature request and just vote it, just do like. MLR, and we all have, I think, no, it's not your pushes, right? It's the Ableton's pushes? Yeah. Well, if some of you have push or any grid controller, the original grid controller, that's how I know Aaron. When I moved here, it was so amazing for me that in the US, there's enough people, so there's enough people for every niche. It doesn't matter how niche it is, there's enough people. And we did a mono meet, it used to be called. And mono me is the original grid controller back from the early 2000s, built by a husband and wife in the countryside of New York. And as you can see, or imagine, this was the inspiration to most of the modern grid controllers that we have today, including the push. And then it was the APC first for the first Ableton controller, the Launchpad. We had home force and all of that the guy got paralyzed. And this still exists. They still sell it. Amazing controllers. One of my favorite artists who I'm honored became a friend, Daedalus, who now teaches at Berkeley in Boston, not Daedalus music. And he's one of the first, or the first pioneer to really take this device on the road. And this device was open source, so you can build your own applications for it using Max. Or Max, not Max for Live at the time, Max. And one of the most popular applications was MLR. And MLR allows you to do live loop cutting, which I wish they, you can kind of do it on the push. You can set it up with follow actions, and there's some Max for Live stuff that allows you to do it. I really hope they're gonna implement that on the Move soon. But what it allows you to do is take, for example here, we take a whole row, and the whole row, if I click on this button, we're gonna start seeing the loop, gonna start playing like this, and then I'm gonna be able to cut it however I want by hitting different buttons. Let me just play Daedalus so you can see an example. And you can do it with follow actions in Ableton. It's not the same because you can't really capture the performance.
Live on
I'm going to
KDXP.
skip ahead just so we can see it. We move here maybe. Okay, and you'll see every row the loops are going, and it's going to start live loop cut them, and he's running the MLR software. Okay, so each row is a different loop. And I used to love that. It's so awesome, it's so much fun. It's a different way of making music with cutting them on the spot. So that's the MLR app, okay? That you can, again, kind of achieve that functionality in Ableton with follow action. Forgot who made that, but there was a dude who turned a lunchbox into a monomy. Remember who was that?
Yeah, altitude sickness.
Was it?
Yeah, or no. His
No, it was a different name.
Where
It has like a yellow lunchbox monomy.
Edison.
Edison, oh my God, dude, the flashbacks. Monomy, but he showcased in one of his videos how to set it up in Ableton. Oh, here it is. 14 years ago, God damn it. Okay, all this is Ableton.
Hey, this is Ian Golden. I'm here in the
Digitech Tools, look how young Ian is.
Tech Tools living room with
Dude, Edison, wow,
Edison
dude, thank
show
you.
us some of his.
Anyway, if you want, check it out. He shows you how to set it up with follow actions. And you can use any grid controller for those type of things. The push, you might have to move it, to kind of turn it, but still, super fun way of making music. And we're gonna see a lot more amazing ways of making music. Hopefully, the Move will also have this type of things.
Edison wasn't beat juggling. He just had one-shots.
What? No, I'm pretty sure it was with, it shows in the video how he set it up with follow actions. I'm pretty sure that was his stuff. Here, and it goes with follow actions, you see?
And in Ableton, that's just using...
And then you can jump to each slice of, so you can set it up, it's super fun. Check out Edison, Performance and Expression from Digitech Tools. 14 years ago, but still amazing way and super fun way of making music. Okay, any other questions? Thank you so much, guys. Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Good family reunion we got going on.
Yes.